So 4, 3, 2, 1. So James Kresh, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. James is co-founder and CEO of Paladin Software. And James, can you please fill us all in and on who you are and what you do?
Of course. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Happy to be here. Appreciate you having me. Started the business with two partners about 4 years ago. All of us had come from originally the paid media world, and then we're early into influencer marketing, working at talent agencies and influencer networks, and saw firsthand the problems in the early days of running influencer campaigns, whether it was finding the right talent, managing those relationships, reporting on the campaign to the brands, paying people on time. There's a lot of manual work. And so out of necessity, we started building some tools really just to make our lives easier. And then through, meetings, coffees, conference attendance, chatting with other folks in the industry, we quickly realized, well, hey, we're not the only ones with this issue. We should be focused on this full time. So we quit the day jobs and launched Paladin, and it's been quite a journey. So we focus today on building a complete influencer marketing solution. We focus on the supply side of the market, so catering specifically to influencer marketing agencies and talent management companies. And we've got best-in-class tools to help them find, manage, and report on campaigns across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch.
Wow, awesome. That's a mouthful. A
Yeah,
lot of great information to digest. So,
there we go.
um, so tell us a little bit about what your role is and what you do at Paladin Software.
Sure. So my background is in strategy and corporate development, sales, business development. So I spend a lot of my time focused on growing the business. Right? I joke that I think about the future of Paladin, and Thomas, our COO, makes sure the trains run on time and focuses on Paladin present. So it's a good balance there. And so right now thinking a lot about going into 2020. What's our plan? And what's our strategy? How do we continue to evangelize the platform, bring more awesome agencies and talent management groups on board? How do we continue to listen to our customers and share that feedback with the product team so they know what to build? Everything that we develop is really based on real-time market feedback. We don't just sit around in an ivory tower and say, I really think that we should make it easier for people to track Instagram stories and report on that activity. It's all coming directly from customers saying, hey, we're running these campaigns every day. This is what's challenging for us. This is where we still have tedious manual work. Can you automate this for us? Have you thought about that? That's what goes into improving the platform.
So it's all customer driven.
That's right.
That's smart business. Good job.
Yeah.
So how are you? What would you describe? What end of the business would you describe being most challenging? Working with the agency or the influencers?
Sure. I'd say the biggest challenge we run up against is just keeping on top of the constantly changing platform landscape, right? I mentioned, we support 5 key global platforms. We are taking a keen eye to Snapchat and TikTok and others. But of course, they don't have public or robust APIs that allow us to grab data in the same way that we can from the other platforms. But, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram change things all the time. We have to be responsive to that. They're constantly rolling out new formats, whether it's Facebook Watch or IGTV, both of which aren't supported from an API standpoint today. So we try and make the platform as flexible as possible and account for those things when we can. And then, of course, lean heavily on our partnerships and relationships with the platforms to say, hey, can we get this in API support, or is there a roadmap for development on that front? Aside from that, I'd say most of the agencies we work with are really a pleasure. I think they know the market really well, and they're on the front lines dealing with influencers and brands. So from our standpoint, we're kind of preaching to the converted, right? We know that these agencies understand why influencer marketing is important, and they're shouldering the heavy lifting of going out and telling brands why they should be investing more dollars in social and influencer, and then going to the influencers and saying, well, we really need authenticated data. We need you to kind of cooperate with us in order to run effective campaigns and report on those successfully. So no, we've had for the most part really good luck working with both of those segments.
Interesting. So typically your customer communication is directly with agencies, not with influencers. Is that Is that
Correct. We don't
accurate?
work with any influencers directly. We do provide some tools which are white labeled, so the agencies can offer, creator dashboard or resources for the influencers to log in. So that's Paladin powering everything behind the scenes. But when a creator logs in, they're seeing, the agency brand front and center.
Interesting. Okay,
Mhm.
that sounds like a great model. Well, good. So can we touch a little bit on your personal work history, your creds, your
Let's
credibility
do
in
it.
the industry? It's bragging rights now.
Sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I started in paid media. Was one of the early employees at a company called Channel Factory that was focused initially on running branded content campaigns. Specifically in the early days of video, we did a lot of work around YouTube. The business has since grown and evolved significantly since I left. And in fact, I know they do a little bit of influencer work today. But in the early days, we were promoting content for brands and media agencies to help their videos perform very well on YouTube and other video platforms. So had a lot of experience on the demand side of the ecosystem from that role. Then transitioned to an early MCN. So caught up in the heyday of MCN fever here in Los Angeles. Worked for Bent Pixels, which started out of Las Vegas, and I helped open the LA office and lead growth initiatives for the business, which is how we got to start tinkering with software, and what ignited my interest and gave me the experience in the influencer space that just kept tugging at me and my partners. And we, originally, eventually convinced us, hey, we gotta strike out on our own, and we need to focus on these problems firsthand. We need to launch some tools for this.
Right.
Aside from that, I do a number of things. I advise and coach a number of startups, which is fun, working with early stage companies and helping pass on the lessons we've learned along the way. And oftentimes I learn just as much from them. So that's great and enriching. And then I also am the creator and host of a podcast called All Things Video. It's been around for, maybe 4 or 5 years now. I have a chance to sit down and interview entrepreneurs and innovators in the digital media space. And it spans from music to gaming to influencer marketing to, tech platforms and beyond. And that's, really started out of my interest in connecting with these people and getting the chance to meet smart folks all over the world, and just saying, I really wish I could ask you more questions, learn about your career, and kind of share the lessons learned from your journey. And that's how the podcast got started. So,
Oh,
here we
very good.
are 4.5 years later, and still loving it.
Very good. Maybe you could send me the link and I'll include it in the
Of
article.
course.
That'd
Yeah,
be
happy to.
fantastic. Okay. And I also see that you have done and are doing a tremendous amount of speaking, public
That's
speaking.
right. Yeah. So I
So,
guess, whether it's just from the podcast, or I've done some writing for various platforms like Video Inc. and later the Wrap post acquisition, posting articles on LinkedIn. People occasionally reach out, and I've spoken at a number of events and conferences. I do a lot with VidCon. Just got asked to join the VidCon Mexico advisory board. So it's fun to continue to shape that awesome conference it expands internationally. I've also spoken at Social Media Week LA, and various events that are focused on different categories. I have some experience in esports and gaming, so I've spoken at more of those gaming focused conferences. Done some work in the kids entertainment space, which is always in flux, and so spoken about trends and the future of content strategies in children's entertainment at a few specialty conferences. So always enjoy getting to do that work as well.
yeah, it sounds very busy. And I like your little bio here where you talk about the elusive notion of free time.
That's right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I may borrow that.
Yeah. Feel free. There's no rest for the wicked, Steve.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Um, so that's great. So here's where we get into the meat of the purpose of this conversation, and that is um, your so our interviews to date have been primarily with SEOs,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been very fortunate to have at least 3 of the 9 previous interviews of we've had access to 3 heavyweights,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
it's really pretty amazing. I was very surprised and flattered that they would want to talk to me, because I am not, an SEO authority. But these people have been very generous with their time, and they provided some amazing nuggets, and it's already published on our
Terrific.
blog. So if you carve out a little bit of time, there's a couple of articles that you might want to read, like Michael Cotham's article.
Okay.
You're
Sure.
familiar with Moz?
Yeah, of course.
So Rand Fishkin has been quoted as saying, "The highest praise I can give Michael is that I tried to hire him." So
There we go.
it's a very insightful article that I would encourage you to read. But
Great. I'll
I
check it
really
out.
want to get your insights on, um, how has your company managed SEO activities? Um, I I I'm a huge fan of Neil Patel, and I love to use his Uber Suggest app. And
Uh-huh.
I checked out your website, and you have uh, approaching 182,000 backlinks,
Wow.
um, and only 70 of them are no follow,
Huh.
which is almost unbelievable.
Very good.
Um, and um, you've got good, high domain score of 50. Um, and but the surprising thing about this review is, it's only indicating that you're having 159 organic visitors per month,
Mm-hmm.
which does not seem correct
Hmm.
to me,
Sure.
given all the backlinks, the organic keywords that you're ranking for. Um, I just wonder what and this tool is not always correct.
Uh-huh.
I'll keep that top secret, but it's
Sure.
uh, Neil wouldn't
Yeah.
want to hear that, but
Yeah, we always try to do the best we can from an SEO standpoint, and our business, admittedly, marketing is where we fall down sometimes. So we can certainly improve there and do a lot to probably drive more web traffic. I find that a lot of our business is referrals, so it's word of mouth, it's inbound, it's going to events and conferences. And I joke that historically, Paladin is an enterprise software sale. Everything's hand-to-hand combat, right? So our team is out talking to people, engaging customers, learning about their pain points, setting them up with trial access, and then going from there. And so while we need to be doing more on the marketing front, because as we gear up for 2020, that's a big initiative, and we're also launching a new product called Measure Studio, which is a business intelligence tool for social publishers and individual content creators to help them understand how their content's performing on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And that's much more of a SaaS approach. And so the goal is build a big funnel, drive traffic via marketing activity, and then let people discover, engage with the product on their own, convert to a paid customer if the tool is valuable and useful for them. So admittedly, that's an area we're investing more in and trying to improve.
very good, very interesting. So can you describe what your day-to-day activities are relative to SEO?
Sure. So, to be honest, I am not working on SEO on a day-to-day basis. For the website itself, we've outsourced it to a consultant who does a phenomenal job. And my partner, our co-founder and COO, Thomas, comes from a much richer SEO background than myself. He ran optimization and data strategy for Maker Studios, which is acquired by the Walt Disney Company. And so he's a little bit more in the weeds on that stuff. But where I have a lot more experience is particular to video SEO. And we have a deep, long-standing partnership with a company called TubeBuddy, which has
Oh yeah,
built one of the leading, video SEO tools in the industry, particularly for YouTube channel management and audience development. So we're the exclusive enterprise sales partner for TubeBuddy. We're experts when it comes to applying the TubeBuddy tool and leveraging it for video SEO. And we help a number of broadcasters, publishers, studios, independent creators take advantage of that tool.
oh wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's uh, I have some friends in the space, and I have to admit that probably my weakest uh, knowledge area is video,
Mm.
and I need to change that because that's
It's
where it's all
interesting, right?
going.
It's kind of it's a whole different ball game, and for whatever reason, traditional text SEO tends to differ. I mean, there's common principles, and the knowledge base is somewhat transferable between the two, but yeah, video SEO is kind of its own beast.
Right. Yeah, very interesting. So, are you aware in terms of your day-to-day SEO activities? Are you aware of what tools you're using?
Yeah, so back in my paid media days, I leaned, pretty heavily on the Google AdWords keyword planner and Google Trends. I know we probably still take advantage of those tools when we look at web SEO for our site. On a day-to-day basis, it's really much more focused on video SEO. And so again, TubeBuddy is certainly what I lean on. There are other great resources in the space as well. vidIQ is probably the other well-known player in the tool space that's built some really effective video SEO tools.
Oh, very good. Well, that's very interesting. This has moved along a lot quicker than I expected, James. So, and I appreciate you speak in a very succinct, almost grammatically perfect way. Now, is this written? Did you write this all down?
This is not written.
Come
No,
on.
it's years of my parents would point to years of mock trial,
Oh
and
my gosh.
probably doing the podcast. Honestly, doing a podcast for 4 or 5 years, you just get so used to hearing yourself talk that you're like, I'm going to have to edit out these ums and
Yeah.
pauses and everything else that I find that even when I write, I edit internally. I edit in my mind, as it's flowing out on the page, which I don't know, maybe makes the cleanup process easier, but certainly can be excruciating when I find myself being a slow writer because you're so in your head about
Well, kudos. Nice job.
it.
Great
Thanks,
job.
Steve. Appreciate it.
So I'm just going to thank you so much for this great conversation. It's a refreshing difference from all this. We've had some. I have to admit, we've had some very dry technical SEO conversations,
Sure.
and they didn't lose me too badly, but it was dry. So I'm just going
Yeah.
to stop the recording here. Thank you very much, James,
My pleasure.
and
Thank you, Steve. This was fun.
we'll continue to chat.